Braun herself attempted suicide on the 10th or 11th of August 1932 by shooting herself in the chest with her father's pistol. Historians feel the attempt was not serious but was a bid for Hitler's attention. After Braun's recovery, Hitler became more committed to her, and by the end of 1932 they had become lovers. She often stayed overnight at his Munich apartment when he was in town. Beginning in 1933, Braun worked as a photographer for Hoffmann. This position enabled her to travel accompanied by Hoffmann, with Hitler's entourage as a photographer for the Nazi Party. Later in her career, she worked for Hoffmann's art press. According to a fragment of her diary and the account of biographer Nerin Gunn, Braun's second suicide attempt occurred in May 1935. She took an overdose of sleeping pills when Hitler failed to make time for her in his life. Hitler provided Braun and her sister with a 3-bedroom apartment in Munich that August, and the next year the sisters were provided with a villa in Bogenhausen at Wasserburger Straße 12, now Delpstraße 12. By 1936, Braun was at Hitler's household at the Berghof near Berchtesgaden whenever he was in residence there, but she lived mostly in Munich. Braun also had her own apartment at the New Reich Chancery in Berlin, completed to a design by Albert Speer. Braun was a member of Hoffmann's staff when she attended the Nuremberg rally for the first time in 1935. Hitler's half-sister, Angela Rabel, Gailey's mother, took exception to her presence there and was later dismissed from her position as housekeeper at the Berghof. Researchers are unable to ascertain if her dislike for Braun was the only reason for her departure, but other members of Hitler's entourage saw Braun as untouchable from then on. Hitler wished to present himself in the image of a chaste hero in the Nazi ideology. Men were the political leaders and warriors, and women were the homemakers. Hitler believed that he was sexually attractive to women and wished to exploit this for political gain by remaining single, as he felt marriage would decrease his appeal. He and Braun never appeared as a couple in public. The only time they appeared together in a published news photo was when she sat near him at the 1936 Winter Olympics. The German people were unaware of Braun's relationship with Hitler until after the war. Braun had her own room adjoining Hitler's at both the Berghof and the Führerbunker complex beneath the Reich Chancery Garden in Berlin. Biographer Heike Gortmaker wrote that women did not play a big role in the politics of Nazi Germany. Braun's political influence on Hitler was minimal. She was never allowed to stay in the room when business or political conversations took place, and was sent out of the room when cabinet ministers or other dignitaries were present. She was not a member of the Nazi Party. In his post-war memoirs, Hoffmann characterized Braun's outlook as inconsequential and feather-brained. Her main interests were sports, clothes, and the cinema. She led a sheltered and privileged existence and seemed uninterested in politics. One instance when she took an interest was in 1943, shortly after Germany had fully transitioned to a total war economy. Among other things, this meant a potential ban on women's cosmetics and luxuries. According to Speer's memoirs, Braun approached Hitler in high indignation. Hitler quietly instructed Speer, who was armaments minister at the time, to halt production of women's cosmetics and luxuries rather than instituting an outright ban. Speer later said Eva Braun will prove a great disappointment to historians. Braun continued to work for Hoffmann after commencing her relationship with Hitler. She took many photographs and films of members of Hitler's inner circle, some of which were sold to Hoffmann for extremely high prices. She received money from Hoffmann's company as late as 1943. Braun also held the position of private secretary to Hitler. This guise meant she could enter and leave the chancellery unremarked, though she used a side entrance and a rear staircase. Gortmacher notes that Braun and Hitler enjoyed a normal